planning issue was sort of short-sighted when the initial planning stages went in, figuring we were all going to be coming from here to go into the city.
Right.
And now there's a lot of opportunity, particularly here in Suffolk County.
Yeah.
So your role as chairman of the Suffolk County Planning Commission, right? A lot of folks, I think, don't know what that is or what its function is. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. The Planning Commission has a couple of roles. We review all the major projects going on in Suffolk County from a regional perspective. So we are what's called a home rule state, which means that towns and villages have final say on land use. But under state law, each county has a planning commission which looks at projects, the major projects, from a regional perspective. And the county planning commission gets to weigh in on the major developments, and the towns and villages have to abide by what we say unless they overrule us with a supermajority. So, in other words, if a town board could pass something normally by 3 votes out of 5 people,
right,
if we weigh in on something, they have to follow what we say unless they decide to go against that by, say, in this case, a 4-vote majority of a board. So, at the end of the day, we do have a significant amount of leverage in the approval process for major projects, and we weigh in on what matters regionally. And those things that matter regionally are things like transportation, things like making sure we have enough workforce housing. We certainly on Long Island have a lot of need for different kinds of housing than we've had in the past.
Right.
We started as a single family because that was what the demand was, and the supply has lagged behind the demand, though that's starting to change in terms of the need for more rentals, more multifamily housing, housing for people who are starting out. The biggest complaint that we hear from business owners here in our region is can't afford, our employees can't afford to live here.
Right.
So we need a different kind of housing that more meets that need. And there's good progress happening on that, but it's been a little slower than I think anyone would have liked, but it's definitely been picking up the last few years, especially coming out of the recession.
Right, and one of the things that I know folks have been working on, and we had Bill Schoolman on the show, and I know you know Bill and Seven Bus.
Bill was one of our commission members for a couple of years, and it was great.
Right, and what he's
leader.
been doing, which I think is pretty innovative, is he's been working with the larger employers, especially the hospitals and the universities here on Long Island, to help get them cheap transportation for their employees that are in Queens, Brooklyn, the Bronx, and need to come out here and get that transportation out here. So it's actually, an opportunity for someone who's an entrepreneur to be able to work on that.